Yo, what's going on, True Blazer fans? It's Tori, and I'm back with another Monday mailbag. Now, I've missed doing the past couple of game recaps, and I haven't really been able to do so because this cold that I've had for about 8 or 9 days has been way too long. This cold took a turn for the worse, so I couldn't record those game recaps for you guys, so I'm sorry about that. But now I'm feeling better enough that I can start recording again, so I'm hitting you guys with this mailbag, and then the game recap for yesterday's game. That'll go up hopefully tomorrow morning. I'm going to try and get you guys that video pretty early, and that's just because we play the New York Knicks tomorrow, and that's a 4 p.m. tip-off, so I'll definitely try and get that out to you guys at least a couple hours before that game. So a lot of you guys probably saw that I posted, which could have ended up in your subscription box. I'm still not too well versed on how the community feature tab works, but basically I can make posts to you guys, I can post pictures to you guys, or I can ask questions. Now, I'm not going to abuse this feature and fill up your subscription box, but I do think it was pretty cool that I could ask you guys a poll and talk about the results here on Monday Mailbag. So I asked you guys how happy you guys were with our 10-5 start, and here were the poll results. The majority of you guys were happy with our start so far this season. That's what I said too. I've been pretty happy so far in the season. Being the #1 seed right now is pretty cool, even though it's pretty meaningless because everybody is so bunched up. And after I posted that poll, I got to thinking, it'd be cool to make a series where I just make a video maybe once a week, once every other week, you know, not on any specific day or anything. But basically, before I make that video, I'd ask you guys 2 or 3 different poll questions, and then in that video, talk about your answers. It'd be basically the pulse of the Blazer fans. And then it's something that I could give my thoughts on as well while looking at some of your guys' responses. If you guys would be interested in a video like that, let me know down in the comment section below. So with all that out of the way, let's look at your questions from the past week. JP asks, honestly, in that second half of that Boston game, I think we were trying to force too many passes that just weren't there. Even if a guy is somewhat open on a cut, he may either be too far away, the passing window might be shrinking too fast. There's a number of factors that go into making a good pass to a guy cutting through the lane. The Boston Celtics have some length too. I just think a lot of times we were trying to force passes that weren't really there instead of being patient and hoping that the next cutter would be more open. We do this a lot in little spurts. Almost every game there seems to be 5 or 6 possessions in one single quarter that involves us trying to force passes that aren't there. The way we can avoid this is by getting into our offense earlier so that we don't have to deal with the shot clock being a problem as much. And also just be more patient when waiting to make that pass. Zach Ander 14 says, do you think we are worse with Mo Harkless? If so, why? I don't understand why we would be worse with Mo Harkless. He was a good starter last year for the second half of the season, and he was a big reason why we went on that 13-game winning streak. His defense is very, very solid. And I mean, you're talking about a guy who last year shot 40% from the three-point line, 50% from the field. I don't understand how anybody could really think we're worse with Maurice Harkless. If we had him, we wouldn't play Myers Leonard as much. We'd play Zach Collins more at center, which I think is the better fit with that second unit, and we'd have Maurice Harkless as the small ball 4. I really like his fit with that lineup, and it worked really well to start the season. Our bench is somewhat regressed, and I do think that's a little bit due to not having Maurice Harkless on the floor. He's able to flip the court by getting steals, by getting deflections, and that gives us transition opportunities, and I really like that bench unit playing in transition. Seth Curry and Nick Stauskas are 2 very deadly trailing the play type of shooters. If you have Evan Turner pushing in the open court, which he does a pretty solid job at, and then you have those 2 lethal shooters trailing the play, as well as Maurice Harkless, who's a good cutter, and if you give him the ball in space, he's able to attack the rim well. I think he's a good fit with that second unit. Part 2, should we trade him? I would trade him for the right package. Now, Otto Porter is a guy who I'd trade Maurice Harkless, Myers Leonard, and a first-round pick for, just because I think Otto Porter's the better player, but I wouldn't just trade Maurice Harkless just to get rid of him. Given his knee issue, he's probably not tradable at the moment right now because he'd have to pass a physical, and who knows if he'd be able to do that. And then Zach Anders says, great video, get well soon. I appreciate the support, and just as long as I'm better by Thanksgiving, everything will be good with me. The Brennanator says, what do you think of this trade? TJ Warren for Aminu and Wade Baldwin. The Blazers would get the defender they wanted, and this trade would open up minutes for Collins, and the Suns would get a nice young point guard and the power forward they need. First off, TJ Warren is not a good defender. Aminu is a much better defender than TJ Warren, so I don't see how Portland would end up getting the defender that they wanted. It would open up starting minutes for Collins, but we could start Collins anyway and bring Aminu off the bench. I don't really understand why we have to make this trade. TJ Warren is more of a starting level player than Al-Farouq Aminu. So I don't know if you're talking about TJ Warren at the small forward spot or the power forward spot, but he can play both. Part of the reason you'd say the Suns want to make this trade is they get the power forward they need. But TJ Warren can play power forward. He's 6'8", but he's strong. He's good inside. And the Suns aren't trying to win right now either. They're very bad, so I don't see how adding an older player who's expiring like Aminu makes any sense for them. Wade Baldwin hasn't shown enough to really entice a team to trade for him at all. This is a guy who had to settle for a two-way contract last season. He hasn't really shown much since then, so I don't think they'd value him over their in-house guys like Elliot Kobo, DeAnthony Melton, even Isaiah Cannon. I don't think there'd be any way that the Suns make this trade. Maybe if we attached a first-round pick, but I don't really see the point in that just because Aminu's defense is very valuable and it's exactly what we need in the starting lineup. Definitive 1. He says, I don't think we're as good as our early record suggests. I think we have a lot of holes in our roster, with the biggest being a consistent third scorer. Do you agree or disagree, and do you think Olshey looks to make a move at the deadline? I think we do have a consistent third scorer. We have Jusuf Nurkic getting around 15 points per game. Per 36, he's getting around 22 points per game. That's as much as you can ask for a center that plays his type of basketball and doesn't shoot threes. And he's been pretty consistent with the scoring. I think he gives enough to be considered a very consistent third scorer. It would be nice to have a consistent third perimeter scorer, but I don't think that's something we need to be a upper echelon team in the Western Conference. I think we are as good as our early record suggests. We have had some lulls here and there. Minnesota and the Lakers game recently, we were not focused or locked in at all, and those were two bad losses. I don't think we played up to our potential in either of those games. I think we're a lot more cohesive as a unit. We're using our players in better roles than before. We're also a very young team, so guys have improved. Zach Collins has improved. Jusuf Nurkic has improved. Jake Layman has definitely improved. So I do think we are an 11-5 team right now. Our point differential suggests that we should be even better than that, but I don't think we've overachieved at all. Do I think Olshey would make a move at the trade deadline though? I sure hope so. He stood pat in years past, and last year he said that he probably should have been more aggressive. They probably had a chance at getting Nikola Mirotic by using the Allen Crabbe trade exception. That's probably a move that they should have done. I would like to see him go over somebody like Otto Porter Jr., who's probably going to be available and probably wouldn't cost much to get because people think he's slightly overpaid. I think he'd be a great starting small forward for the Portland Trail Blazers. If we're playing great, then I guess it's fine if he stands pat, but if we're at the trade deadline in a scenario like we were the past couple of seasons, I would like Olshey to finally make a move for a solid rotation piece and improve our team. Blair Bartholomew asks, do you think it's time to push Aminu to the small forward spot and then play Zach at the small forward? I assume you mean play Zach at power forward, as that's why we'd move Aminu to small forward. Or do you think we should keep Collins coming off the bench? I think Aminu is worse at the small forward position because his ball skills all of a sudden become very below average for that position. His ball handling and dribble drive have improved this year, and now it's probably a little bit above average for a power forward. Maybe it's average, that's debatable, but his ball skills fit a power forward a lot more than it fits a small forward. I also like bringing Collins off the bench, especially as a center, because one, he provides that shooting with that second unit. It's nice to have 4 shooters around Evan Turner. And 2, I think he's better off the bench as a rim protector, just being the anchor of that second unit defensively. Starting Zach Collins would make it difficult to have him as the anchor with that second unit. You'd have to sub him out early and then bring him in with that second unit, and that just kind of defeats the purpose of starting him in my opinion. I would like to see him start somewhat soon, but only if we have the right option behind Jusuf Nurkic to be a paint protector as well as a 3-point shooter. Those type of players are rare. Maybe we go out and trade for a Dwayne Dedmon from the Atlanta Hawks or somebody like that. Is a guy that can defend and hit threes. If we made a move like that, then I could see starting Zach Collins at the power forward spot, but I just don't like Aminu at small forward regardless. So if we want to start Zach Collins at the 4, I would honestly bring Aminu off the bench. So that's all I got for now. I'm sorry I missed a couple of your questions, but I am limited on time. 9 minutes and 45 seconds is what I gotta hold this video to. So if I didn't answer your question, you can repost it down in the comment section below. I will try and keep the intro a little shorter next week, and that way I can get to more of your questions. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week ahead. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Peace out. Go Blazers.